So after a lot of unsuccessful attempts at creating a Running Man game to review conductors and insulators, I decided to go with a different route. One thing that our school, for my game this week, one thing our school has really been working on is integrating reading and writing across all content areas. So I decided to create a game where students would integrate their reading comprehension skills in with science to review creating a complete circuit. So I used a software that I found called Twine, and as you can see here on the screen, it is an open source tool for telling interactive nonlinear stories. For years and years, the Choose Your Own Adventure novels have been a hit with upper elementary students and into middle school. My students actually fight over them when we go to the library, so I thought this could be a great way to integrate that desire kids have for a little bit of that choose your own adventure in a review for our science content. It gives some of the educational benefits of these choose your own novel stories, or it gives practice in comprehension skills in a non-threatening way. Students do read for content, but they also are reviewing what they've learned, and no one's really going to know if they struggled or got a wrong answer along the way, so they can actually have some authentic learning. I would say that this game incorporates both constructivist and brain-based learning theories. Brain-based learning says that people are social, and I think this would be a great thing for kids to do with a partner, but also alone, but being able to incorporate a kind of a realistic fiction story, something that they can relate to. Also, it's a safe but still maybe challenging for some students way to review content. Also, as far as constructivists goes, they're making meaning based on prior experiences, and those prior experiences could be some of the real life, like the camping that's discussed in the story, or visiting a cabin or vacation, but also incorporating that with the material that was already learned in science. So I'm going to click over here to my actual story. I have created, so Twine's super easy. You click to create a new story. I'm going to show you mine here that I have created. So you will see that within Twine you create a story and create a story map, and then it links onto the next pages. So you can see all the different pages here of my story. And you'll see that those branch off at times into two different options, but they sometimes also complete a full circle. So as far as the course content and interactivity goes, this lesson isn't quite as interactive as some of the things that were created in Construct 2 or other programs, but I feel like it's a better use of time for my students to review content than they would in some of the Running Man jumping games or the shooting games. This way they're actually getting into the content and not just being distracted by the game. The objective here is to basically review the material in another context. A lot of times students do understand science materials when they're actually working in the lab in the classroom, but being able to apply that knowledge outside of that situation is tough. So it really is just a choose your own adventure story, essentially with science content. So as we go through it, you'll see that it starts with a scenario with a kid, and he has to make choices of what he's going to do to get to the end to solve his problem. So really there's not a winning or a losing. If you do get an incorrect answer, it circles back around and reviews the content and takes you back to the correct place. And at the end, you just make it to the end of the story. So we're going to go ahead and run through here, and we will play this story. So it was a hot July day. The temperature hadn't dropped below 100 degrees in nearly a week, and to top it off, your air conditioner broke. When your mom called the repairman, he said he could fix it, but it would be Tuesday before he could come out to your house. Tuesday was still 4 days away. Your parents decided they had a choice: stay and cook, or head to the mountains for a long weekend. So potentially a student would say stay and cook, and if they did, the next screen says, that sounds terrible. Take a vacation. Enjoy the cooler temperatures at a higher elevation. You better head to the mountains. And this connects back to the same slide that it would have connected to from the previous slide if they had said head to the mountains in the first place. Great idea, but where will you stay? You remember your mom's Uncle Sal had a place at the lake. You've never been up there, but who knows, maybe someone's already using it. Your mom called Uncle Sal, and he said it's a bit rustic, but you're welcome to use it for the weekend. What should you do? Stay home and melt in the heat, or head up to Uncle Sal's cabin? If you click the melt in the heat, it says you're kidding, go to the mountains. You can always click back to undo or redo arrows here as well. So let's head up to Uncle Sal's cabin. Your mom announces that you're heading to Uncle Sal's cabin at Crystal Lake. You are so relieved. You didn't think you could survive the weekend heat. Everyone rushes to pack their bags, load up the car, and get out of town. You enjoy the air conditioning in the car and watch the thermostat drop as you ascend the mountain. You follow Uncle Sal's directions, and when you arrive, it's a pleasant 85 degrees. You know a little about Colorado weather. It may be 65 by the middle of the night. That sounds glorious. You pull up to Uncle Sal's cabin, but you think it looks more like a shack. But wow, look at the beautiful lake right behind it. Most kids are going to want to go look at the lake instead of the shack. So if we click lake here, it says you rush to see the lake. There's a canoe laying on the shore. You'll have to check that out later. But first, you have to help unload your stuff into the shack, or cabin as your mom keeps calling it. You walk in to find very little: a couple of beds, a sink, and a table with 4 chairs. There seems to be a number of things missing, like a bathroom, lights, a dishwasher. Mom reminds you that this is a lake cabin, not the Hilton. You unpack your things, and Mom says to get out the flashlights so you know where they are before it gets dark. You look around, but there are no flashlights. I guess you have 2 choices: go to bed when it gets dark, or build your own. What fun is that? This is vacation. I guess you're going to have to build your own. So you remember back to science class. You tell your family you know what to do. You remember that you need a light bulb, wires, and batteries. When you're scoping out the lake house, you saw a shed. Maybe there are some materials in there. In the shed, you find some wire. Dad helps you strip the end of the insulator off to expose the actual wire, the conductor. You keep looking around, but you don't find any batteries or light bulbs. This isn't going to work. So you think hard. You realize you have batteries in the car. You can take them out of your video game. As tough as a decision as it was to make, you decide that making a light for your sister who's scared of the dark is more important than your games tonight. So you head back to the car to get them. You open the trunk to find your video game, and what luck! Your mom went to the store for some groceries, bought some light bulbs, and had forgotten to unload them. Success! You have your supplies. So now you have your power source, the battery, your wires, and the light bulb. Now you just have to remember how they all go together. Remember that battery powers the light bulb, so obviously you have to connect the 2 with wires. You can't decide if you should just put them both together on one end of the battery, or if you should put one wire on each end of the battery. Let's try just hooking them together. That sure didn't work. Maybe you should try one on each end of the battery. So you've got both wires touching the bottom of the light bulb, and each wire touching each end of the battery. The wires seem to get hot, but the bulb isn't lighting. You remember your teacher repeating the words, complete the circuit, make a circle. You examine the wires and the battery. You know that energy is flowing because the wires warmed up. It must be the light bulb. You know that there has to be 2 points of contact, but are they both on the base of the bulb, or is the other one on the glass? Most kids are going to know they're the base of the bulb, but just in case, on the glass. No, you remember the glass is an insulator. And additionally, when you screw a light bulb into a lamp, there's nothing touching the glass. It must be on the base of the bulb. You examine the light bulb a little closer. You notice that the filament inside the bulb, the part that glows, is connected to the very bottom of the bulb on one side, but on the other side it connects to the sidewall. That must be it. Your 4 points of contact are the side and bottom of the metal base on the light bulb and both ends of your battery. You enlist your sister to help. She holds 2 wires to the 2 sides of the battery, and you make a connection to the side and bottom of the bulb. Success! The bulb lit up. Now you don't have to listen to your sister cry because she's scared of the dark tonight. But this isn't the most effective flashlight if you and your sister have to hold it all together. Perhaps tomorrow you can find some supplies in the shed to hold it all together. Maybe for tonight you'll just have to make a campfire and hope your sister is tired enough that she doesn't wake up in need of a homemade complete circuit flashlight. So with Twine, there are some other options that you can add things in. Definitely can add in some pictures and different things. For my first one, I'm pretty satisfied with it, but in the future, I'm hoping to add in some graphics and things. I also think this could be an awesome way for students to create their own reviews or their own situations, and I'm excited to use it with my class in the future.